Welcome to the Northern Strength Fitness Podcast. This episode is about the Northerner Race, which is a brand new race in Saskatchewan. It's a Canadian-themed obstacle course race, and I hope that after you're done listening to our guest, you're going to be excited to try the race out. Now, I started the race with a goal in mind to get people active, get communities involved in different ways to socialize, families, friends gathering, challenging themselves, making memories, and making that accessible to more of a rural setting or even just to places within Saskatchewan to start off, because there's not a lot of these opportunities that you can get to close by home. So the people that have participated have had a great time. I've heard some awesome success stories, and you're about to hear from the guests and their success. And I hope that you guys are excited to join us annually at the Northerner Race. If you guys are interested, check out the northernerrace.ca. There's even free run programs with registrations. If you have any questions at all, feel free to give us a shout. And also, don't forget to subscribe. It helps grow the channel. Sharing this content is also amazing. I'm sure the people that are going to be our guests are going to love the fact that you guys are commenting, liking, sharing the post. So without further ado, let's get to the episode. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Northern Strength Fitness Podcast. My name is Brandon, your host. It's been a little while since I've had a guest on, and we had a lot going on, but I've got Troy here. Troy, welcome to the show. Thanks for coming in today. I am excited because you just finished our Northerner Race.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right, I did. Yeah.
He's going to be here to talk to us about kind of his experience with it, but where'd you come out of today?
Prince Albert.
Prince Albert.
So I came up for a drive after work and seen all the lovely countryside on the way here. And
avoided the storm apparently.
I'll hit two of them on the way, but that's turning into a common thing. So
yeah, all the farmers want to get in the field right now around here, and it's not like super like, oh my God, the rain. We were like itching for rain the whole time.
I know.
And now all of a sudden it's like, okay, now we need dry weather. Anyway, I'm talking farmer because I've now lived in Tisdale for.
I was gonna say I'm a city guy now. I don't know much about farming anymore. So not that I ever did.
Yeah, and you grew up where again?
Carrot River.
Carrot River, so
Carrot
close
River,
by.
Yeah, that's my home. My home stomping ground is Carrot. So it was nice to come out here and do that race. Pretty much almost where I grew up.
Yeah,
right?
something really familiar with you, which is cool because in a sense, I think you've said you might have listened to a couple of my podcasts. But I'm really trying to my goal with what I do with this is to bring stuff to less populated areas.
Mm-hmm.
So that way people that live or grow up and decide to make a living or a family around have all these cool things that, they could be proud about and do without having to travel long ways away. Because there was a few other people from Prince Albert, I think.
Yeah, and a couple of them for sure I knew.
Yeah.
Right? A couple guys that I know pretty well. But, I mean, coming out to Tisdale and like you said, those options out here are amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Coming from PA, I have a pretty good gym that I go to, but it's a countrywide gym, right? It goes all over the West Coast or the Western Canada. So we're kind of in luxury with that.
Yeah.
With all of the options with the machines and everything else. But to come out here and see what you have and what you have to offer for the local communities is just fantastic.
Awesome. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm going on a stab. Is it Good Life?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I just wasn't sure if I could what I can say,
whatever,
what I can't say
go,
when it comes to that stuff,
yeah.
right? But that I've been with Good Life now for a year and a half.
Yeah.
Just over a year and a half is what I've been going now, pretty regularly, 5 to 6 days a week. So it's good hours. It's everything I need is there. So, but coming out to places like this, even back to Carrot River now.
Yeah.
My sister having her stuff there.
Yeah.
I can go to Donnelly Spin Shack, and I got a key, right? So I can go and she has all of the
convenience of it, and just being able to stick in the routine. So, if you guys are listening, so Donnelly and Troy are siblings.
Yeah, so that's my little sister. She's my baby sister.
So Donnelly was on a podcast. I don't know how long ago that would have been, about 3 months ago or so.
About that.
So if you guys are wanting to listen in on that one, she's still on there. We had an awesome conversation. So somehow I snagged Troy to come in on this one. But we're going to be talking more about the race, even on a little health kick lately. I don't know if that led into your race, but kind of, if you don't mind sharing why you decided to do the race, kind of what led you to be like, okay, I'm going to come try this event in Tisdale, Saskatchewan. So give us a little bit about that.
Oh, that's exactly why. I've been about a year and a half ago, just a little over a year and a half ago, I was way out of shape. I went through a life change. I went through a divorce 3.5, 4 years ago. And with all of the stuff that comes with the divorce, right? My physical stuff just sort of went out the window.
Yeah.
And I found myself laying in a bed in an ER in PA with an angina attack, thinking I was having a heart attack. And it was the scariest moment of my life. That it was to this day, it was probably the weirdest experience I've ever had. I'm 47 years old, right? I'm not old, right? I'm not young anymore either, but I'm not old. I shouldn't be on a gurney in a ER.
You're probably thinking like, whoa, what is surreal almost, right?
And no one around me.
Yeah.
Right. It happened in the middle of the day. I was at work. My kids were at school. My family was doing their thing. So I was literally in there by myself wondering what was going to go on by the time supper time came around.
Mm-hmm.
So after that, I sort of went, once all the tests and everything were done, and I mean, they had me on nitrous, they had me on Ativan, they had me on everything in the hospital.
Yeah.
I told myself after that, something has to change, right? So then I did the stress test, which was I had to walk a treadmill.
Oh, yeah.
And I told myself, I said, no matter what, I was going to finish this treadmill test. It wasn't going to get me. I was going to, and the doctors and the nurse in there said that I did it really well. Mm-hmm. And I was actually breathing after it. Like I didn't keel over, right? Yeah. So that was really the moment that got me back into the gym stuff.
Yeah.
So then I got into the gym, and my oldest son, he's a gym nut too. And then of course, Donnelly, and I've got 2 nieces and a nephew that, like, her kids, I just had the support.
Yeah.
Right. So that's what got me into the gym and into the healthy eating and changing that lifestyle over. And then I got about 9 months into the gym, and it was getting boring.
Oh yeah.
And I needed something to do. Right. Yeah. And I knew I needed to change things up. I was still nervous. My main roadblock in anything in my life is my anxiety. Mm-hmm. Right. The fear of everything usually stops me.
Yeah. It's like everything that could go wrong, and then I get balled up in your head.
Right.
Yeah.
And then it usually ends up where I don't do anything at all.
Yeah.
And that's how this all started. And then it was about 9 months in, and I was visiting Donnelly, and it came up again. The race came up again. Yeah. And I said, that's it. I said, I'll sign up for it. So we signed up for it that weekend. I was back home, and
I remember her mentioning how she was like, my brother's signing up, and we got him coming in, and she was pretty excited about it too. So
it's so cool, like that support that I have with my family now about this change in my life when it comes to the health, that this was it. So that was the catalyst of me coming to this race, was that I needed something new to do. So once I got something new to do, I changed up my workout routine to match.
Then it wasn't as boring and complacent.
The routine I moved into was more focused around because I still didn't have any idea what I was coming here for.
Yeah. Did you see a little bit of the highlight video at all? Nothing. You're just like, I'm just showing up.
I'm just going, right? And that's kind of how I motivate myself now. I don't even question it. I just do it.
Yeah.
Right. And it seems to work.
Yeah.
So before even knowing anything, I just knew that somewhere there was talk about the mud pit and lifting a log.
Okay.
Right. Those were the 2 things that I can remember from the very beginning piece of it. So I thought, oh my goodness, if I have to lift something, I better start like squats and doing that into my routine. So I really focused on being able to do the obstacles.
Yeah.
Right. I thought to myself, I know it's a running race, but
the obstacles are.
I gotta finish first and foremost. I gotta finish this.
Yeah.
Because it's. I was told it was 5 kilometers, right? So I'm prepping
sneaky,
myself.
It was a little longer.
But I was prepping myself for it. I said, okay, we got to do it for 5. So I made sure my cardio and my treadmill work was still there.
Yeah.
And still nothing into the jogging. I just wasn't into jogging yet, right? It wasn't. Yeah. It's still not. I know that's what I'm going to work on for next year.
Yeah.
But it just wasn't it was just the obstacles and making sure I had the power to do.
Yeah, you probably figured, hey, I know I can will myself from one point to point A. Like I can probably jog, walk, whatever I need to do. But then when I get up to the obstacle, will I have the strength and whatever you're going to need to conquer the obstacle, right?
Exactly. So that was my main focus, and that's what I came here with.
Cool.
So but that anxiety piece, man.
Oh, well, and you talked about a few, like, kind of, like, I touch on a lot of these points back in some of my other podcasts, but it's like that support is huge,
Oh,
right? Like,
massive.
to have people around you to do that. And then even like finding like challenges, and then that leads to different changes in your life. So it's like, hey, you know what? You got this opportunity for a challenge. And like you said, I just decided I was going to commit to it and do it. So I, like, for example, like, I just finished a marathon, and I just like had the
Yeah.
guy, and I was like, you know what? I know it sounds a little bit crazy, and I got all this stuff going on. I was organizing the race,
Yeah.
and I was like,
Yeah.
but I wanted to use it as a thing for myself, to see if I can learn more about running, learn more about myself. Just dove into it and did it. So just like you kind of dove into this, and now
That's
we're
right.
here on a podcast.
Yeah,
and-
to talking all about it after.
yeah,
right?
exactly.
So,
And hopefully reaching some people. So if you guys are out there and you have going through like rough, stressful times, it's part of everyone's.
oh man, but it's the little stuff continuously,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like this race. When I was laying on a bed in the hospital, this
Yeah.
was not on my
No, for
on my
sure.
menu.
Yeah.
The gym wasn't even on my menu, right?
Yeah.
So basically, what I did when I first started going to the gym, I went on the treadmill for 10 minutes.
Yeah. Just started
Nothing
moving.
else. The whole purpose was to get into the gym,
Yeah.
tell myself I could do it, and then 10 minutes on a treadmill was enough. I
Yeah.
was sweating like an oinker, like I was literally spent after 10 minutes,
Yeah.
but I continued it. And then
Mhm.
that 10 minutes once every day turned into 20 minutes. And I got to a point where I was doing 65 minutes of cardio on the
Yeah.
treadmill.
Well, and you start to build up that little bit of confidence by proving yourself right.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're going in there, you know what, I can do this. Even if it's 10 minutes, I'm going to prove it to myself. I'm going to be able to do this. Okay, I did it. I got a win.
Yeah.
Another 10 minutes next day. I got a win, right? And you start
Yeah.
building up those wins, and then all of a sudden okay, let me try something else. So we had another guest that recommended the same thing. He said, hey, if you're in the gym, like, just go, even if it's
Yeah.
just to start, right? Then build that confidence within yourself. And next thing you know, you're learning stuff by maybe even watching people.
Mm-hmm.
And it just kind of like catches fire, hopefully,
Yeah.
and then leads
Yeah.
to different experiences. So
Yeah. And it's the ebbs and the flows, right? Like other thing I noticed, even before the race,
mhm.
I was in a moment where the gym wasn't priority one,
Yeah.
right? And I'm learning that that's okay,
Mm-hmm.
right? I'm really strong. I'm really dedicated with my routine at the gym,
Yeah.
right? Which has now become my lifestyle.
Yeah.
But there's still summer. There's still life. There's other projects. There's other things going on. So the last 3 weeks, I've gone every second day,
Yeah.
right? Or every third day, or I had 4 days where I didn't go to the gym,
Yeah.
right? But I'm not scared now,
Yeah.
right?
You're like,
Because I'm still going.
yeah. And you know that, hey, this is like, I use the word lifestyle, and that's kind of the way I try to encourage people to look at when they sign up, because they're like,
Yeah.
oh, like, if you really want to like make this gyms thing, like, I'm happy to have you here for the month you're signing up. But I've learned within the last few years of owning the gym, it's like, I got to impress it that they're not going to dive in and see whatever they're hoping to see if they don't start thinking of it as a lifestyle. I mean,
Right.
so if they make that click, awesome. If they don't, then hey, you got your other pass, and there's other options out there for sure. But because then that lifestyle leads to these different things. But going back to even that anxiety is said. So like, it just kind of like clicked on me when you were saying that. But I think the anxiety is usually because you're scared about what might be the outcome, or you're not really sure, like a dangerous, like, hey, I don't know, it might be something that's going to be, I'm going to get hurt, or I'm going to look
Oh,
silly.
absolutely. The looking silly part.
Yeah.
Right. I don't fit in. I got
Yeah.
a beer belly.
Yeah.
I'm 47. I got 2 chins and gray hair.
Yeah.
You
So-
know,
Do you think that, like, now that you had that hospital side of stuff, do you think the fear of going back to that over trumps your new anxiety?
absolutely.
Yeah.
This anxiety now has a different feel to it.
Mm-hmm.
It's still anxiety, but my goal now is to talk through that anxiety and remember that it's excitement.
Yeah.
See, when I was laying in that hospital bed, and a lot of stuff in my life up to that moment was fear. Like, it was, I'm going to die.
Mm-hmm.
This is it. I'm over. Life is ending. There's
Yeah.
nothing left, right? What is going to happen to my boys? All of that starts flowing. Now, like the race,
Yeah.
Donnelly started with me in that race. She ran beside me.
Yeah.
I jogged to the crawl.
The
That's
first
right,
one?
The
Yeah, yeah.
first one. I couldn't jog anymore.
It's like, and here we are.
It was great. I made it through. Everything was going. And Donnelly was ready to go. She wanted, like, she's
Yeah.
at her pace. And I'm like, you don't have to do this. It's great that you're with me here, Donnelly, but you go. You
Yeah.
go. I had my own fight.
Yeah.
I had my own thing I had to compete against
Mm-hmm.
at that race, and that was me. The anxiety came back after that crawl because I got up and I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
right. I could feel the burning in my legs, and those were the signs for me to stop.
Yeah.
Right, because my anxiety would tell me, no, you can't go further now. You did the best you could. Don't hurt
Yeah.
yourself. Don't go. You're going to have a heart attack. Don't do it. So my goal was to beat that piece, right? Like that's the whole purpose. When I pulled up at the park and started to see what was there, and my anxiety started to come in, my whole purpose was to get my brain into that positive thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's like, oh man, look ahead. You're darn near at that wall,
Yeah.
right? And then you you jump the wall, and it's like, wow, I just jumped the wall, right? It's like that thing was a wall. It was the short one,
Yeah,
right?
but still, it's like
But
you're
it was
coming
the
up
wall,
and you're like,
right?
hey, I did the
Yeah.
It definitely adds into that stacking the little wins.
Yeah,
and stuff.
and then you move at a fast pace, but you're pushing, but it's comfortable, but you're pushing, and it's still in here.
Yeah.
You get to the tires, it's like, oh man, I gotta pull that tire,
Yeah.
and then it's like, no, stop. It's like you can pull that tire. You're gonna pull that
Yeah.
tire, right?
That's a good way to look at it.
So, and then it's to the next part. Then you get to the mud pit, right? And it's like, oh man, my shoes are gonna get dirty.
Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
this
Every
is my
little
head,
fight.
right?
Yeah.
Like it's every little piece that can get you is gonna for me.
Yeah.
So then I get through the mud the first time. My shoes are all muddy. They weigh about 3 pounds heavier than they
God.
were before, right? Like
Yeah. I walked through the mud pit that morning. They were it was like a brick on each one of
yeah,
my feet.
it was wild, right? But then I got through it and I got up on the hill part. I'm like, I used to do this all the time when I was a kid. This is fun. This is really you're getting in there, right? And then I start walking. I'm like, okay, what's next? What's next? So we cross the bridge and we go. And then I seen the logs.
The infamous logs.
The logs,
Yeah.
right? And I'm like, okay, this is what I prepared for.
Yeah.
I knew they were going to be here. I don't know what, but I knew they were going to be here. This is what I'm here for. You're going to grab the biggest one and you're going to go.
Yeah.
So I don't think I grabbed the biggest one, but I got
A hefty one. Yeah.
Yeah, I got a good one, and I did it.
Yeah.
And I did it fast, right?
Yeah.
And lifting that wood was nothing. So I told myself, holy crap, man, your gym time
It's
is
paying
paying
off.
off.
Yeah.
Right. So then I did that, and then we went further and another wall, and it's like, oh, this one's taller, but you did it, right? And then you come around, and then
Then you got the big ladder.
the
Yeah.
climb, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, okay. But it was nice and sturdy, and I went up and came down the other side, and then the water pails, like everything happened. The only problem, the balance beam.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But I never even let that discourage me. So I got on the beam. I got to the first 4 steps, fell off, knew I wasn't going to do it. So I can do a jumping jack,
Yeah.
right? So 30 of them came along, and I just kept on going, right?
Yeah.
And then, the hockey net came, and the other walls came, and the rope.
The rope, the big slant.
Yeah. And I wasn't even at the stage. It didn't even bother me because people were running up the side without the rope, right?
Yeah,
None of it intimidated me then by that time.
Mm.
And it was just to get it done.
Yeah.
Right? The lacrosse, don't get me
gosh.
started on the lacrosse, man. That part just drove me nuts.
Okay, I've got a new idea for lacrosse. Hear me out here.
Okay.
Okay, so I was thinking of because I was there. I was getting hit with lacrosse balls standing beside people, right? So I was like, oh, and then I kind of felt bad, but I was like, you know what? You get 3 laps with it. So I was
Yeah.
like, they'll get it by the 3rd time, right? Or at least get it better. But I was like, for people some people have never shot a lacrosse stick. And
We've never.
it's like Canadian theme, national
Yeah.
sports. Like,
Yeah.
whatever, we'll keep it in there. But I think next year, I'm going to keep about the same target. I think at least. Who knows what'll happen. But rather than 1 shot, you get 3 shots before you.
There. Yeah.
So that way, the first one might be way off. The second one, maybe a little closer. By the 3rd one, hopefully people are hitting it because.
Well, the 3rd round, I got there to do it, and I thought, okay, well, I got to get it now, right?
Yeah.
I've done 2 already. This is pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
So I went to whip the ball, and nothing hit the fence. And I looked, and there's no ball left in the net. And Xavier, my son, he was watching. He goes, Dad, you hit the dugout. So somehow
Yeah, exactly.
It flew straight sideways and ended up in the dugout. So I
Oh yeah, it was.
so I did the jumping jacks there too, and
It was
and kept
madness.
going.
The lacrosse thing.
Yeah, but it was just an amazing opportunity to do that stuff,
Mm-hmm.
right? But you hear people do the races, you watch people do the races. Even me in high school, I was cross country running. I did it because it was a sport. I liked it.
Yeah.
Right. 30 some years later, I used that as well. Like I said, I did this in high school.
Yeah.
Let's do it again.
Yeah.
Right.
It's possible.
It's
like, why am
possible.
I putting those blockades? Like, I know people do it all the time. I
Yeah.
used to do it.
Yeah.
So.
But I never knew why. You know, you see marathon runners, you watch people in the Olympics, you watch hockey players, you watch the sports, and you wonder why. Yeah, big money in some of the sports, right? But what's the drive, right? But now it's really neat because I'm getting it at a different level. You know, I'm 47, but I'm starting to understand the lifestyle, right? And I think that's what the race really brought for me. You know, it was such an experience to come across. I don't even know what I placed. You know, I definitely wasn't last, but I know I definitely wasn't in the pack, right? But coming across that line, even when the other group was getting ready to run, right? There was such hearing people actually cheer for me.
Yeah,
it's like whoa, right? And it unconditional stuff.
Yeah. Well, I remember that when it was happening because like, okay, I gotta get the next group going, and then as people were coming, I was like, oh, there's someone coming around, and I didn't even like need to do it, but the crowd started cheering for people, and I was just like, this is awesome. So then I kind of fed off. I was like, yeah, let's cheer him on. And then it just became like I was telling, I don't know if you were on that heat or when I was like, I kind of want to finish near the end just so people cheer me on. Because the people that finished fast didn't have the crowd, but finish when you guys were you had that whole crowd cheering you on.
And it was such a wow moment in my life, right? Like my whole life, all I ever wanted to do was be somebody, right? Like, you know, I mean, I'm a recovered alcoholic. I did a whole stretch of my 20s that I don't remember, right? This kind of stuff is so unique to me, right? I finished that race and I was in a different world.
Yeah.
Right. Just emotionally, like physically, I was exhausted. Right.
Yeah. I get.
But I couldn't feel the physical part.
Yeah.
You know,
it's that kind of like, whoa, this is what that feels like.
It's surreal.
Yeah.
I succeeded. Right. And it didn't matter what I placed. Like that's the other part that's so cool about this race, right? Is that it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
There's so many different reasons to participate in this race. Like next year, my challenge next year is going to be totally different than it was this year.
Yeah.
Right. And it's fun because my son's going to have a different challenge. He wants to come back again.
Yes.
Right. And he did well, you know? So, I mean, to have that opportunity now where having an event like this or looking on the internet and seeing something similar to this and say, oh, wow, maybe I can go to
for sure.
Red Deer or to Edmonton or you know what I mean?
Well, think of it kind of like a gateway, right? Kind of like how your treadmill started you at the in the gym, which then led you to this. Now this is just another step, which leads you to another. Like I use the analogy of challenges kind of being like a roadmap for yourself, right? Imagine like you're on I use video games, so I'm a little bit of a gamer. So I was like, you know, you conquered that thing, you leveled up, you got your character going, and now you're stronger for the next thing, right?
Exactly.
And you might have some setbacks, but no one can really take away from what you learned from that experience, right?
Bingo.
So,
well, it's a new level of understanding that there is no failure, right?
Yeah.
Like I've learned that in my career, in my personal journey with recovery, all that kind of stuff. I've learned how to live a simpler life. What's success? What's failure? But you know, to actually turn it back on me in a physical side of things, is one of the most, I don't know, speechless experiences I can have, I guess. When I was done that race and I crossed that line and I got to hug my son, right? And then that picture's on the race, which is just phenomenal because now I can't forget that moment, right?
Yeah.
That was probably, as a father, as a man, as a son, as everything I've ever worked towards being the best that I can at, was the epitome right there, right? Because I conquered something for myself. By conquering that by myself, like not by myself, but for myself, I got to let my son watch his dad cross the finish line of an event, right? Like how cool is that?
Yeah, for sure.
Right? And then share that moment.
Yeah.
Right? And talk about it for the drive home.
Yeah.
You know, and then go experience the post-race pain.
yeah. Together.
Yeah, his feet were sore, his shins were sore, his calves were sore, right? And so were mine, but we got to walk through it together. We got home that afternoon and we each bought a bag of chips right? It was
Yeah.
it was going to be a cheat day and do
There you
nothing
go.
but watch movies. So we threw movies on, and it was just, it ended, but it was because of the experience of the race that we had together to get that,
Yeah.
right? And I think that's what I hope our talk today can bring to other people who are thinking about getting into races like this.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to be young. I'm 47, right? I did this in middle age. I'm not afraid to say that anymore,
Yeah.
right? But it's something to be proud of, because now I'm probably the healthiest I've ever been in my entire life,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that's weird for me at this age to say that.
Yeah, because you didn't really grow up thinking that you got healthier when you're older. You're supposed to be healthier when you're younger, right?
Yeah.
But once you
Well,
switch
and I'm
that
over the hill.
lifestyle,
Right, I'm over the hill, right? So I'm thinking, part of my brain is thinking, you can't do that. It's time
Yeah.
to start getting sore knees and a sore back.
yeah, no,
It's
no.
like no.
No.
And it's so cool because now, like I said, I got friends, I got people that are seeing the change in me, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, yeah, you can do this too,
Yeah,
right? So it's giving it back again at another level as well,
yeah.
right?
Well, and even like having those powerful moments like that, I don't know, like when you were explaining with you and your son, and how that much of an impact on you emotionally, and that gives me like goosebumps. I was like, oh, this is like, for me as someone that's organizing it abroad here, like I had hoped that I would have that kind of impact by doing these things, but then hearing you say that,
Yeah.
and then I'm sure now I'm like, okay, I bet you there's other people that have similar stories.
Oh yeah,
And there's just going to be more built off of it, I believe, right? And having someone like you coming on the show, again, who knows who's going to listen on in this?
Yeah.
It could spark someone. So that's amazing, just to almost see that trickle effect of effects for yourself, and then building on the community. Because that's another big belief of mine, is like, be a shining beacon, right? So you got to be that beacon crossing the finish line there for your son.
Yeah.
You guys got to hug it out, and then we got the amazing picture, like you said. So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
pretty sweet.
Well, the other part too, my mom was there to cheer us on,
Mm-hmm.
right? So we had, like, this for me is where it's the epitome of family,
Yeah.
right? When you can do this kind of stuff and have these events to come to where, the grandparents are cheering on the grandkids and the kids, right? Because it wasn't only me, it was her daughter was there,
Yeah.
her other grandson was there. It was like a family event, right? But yet it was so individualized too. It's such a neat concept to have.
Yeah.
And she took care of my dog. I brought my dog down with us, right? And she was the babysitter for the dog.
Yeah. Yeah. So she had her hands full.
And
a
she had
little
her
bit.
hands full a bit too, but she really did her best to come and support. And that's another piece, right? And then there's your community part. People coming in from other areas
Mm-hmm.
for an event like this to help. We went swimming. We took the kids swimming for both the days we were here.
Yeah.
It's just such a cool event to
Yeah.
do.
Well, even like the volunteers, like Donnelly and Courtney came,
Yeah.
and they were planning
Yeah.
to come help out, and those two have been amazing since I've got to know them. But just bringing in that strength and that community, right? The
Mhm.
bonding, like, and stuff like this doesn't just happen, right? There's
Yeah.
people always behind it, and sometimes you don't get to see those people or how it came to be. So I think documenting all this and getting
Mhm.
it out there and having people to share it is going to be huge for other people. Might be listening to this and be like, you know what, maybe I could start something in my community, right?
Yeah,
Or
exactly. Even if it's a walk or like we used to, when I was a kid, there was always walkathons for something, right?
yeah,
So-
yeah, and it could be anything. Like if I find like sometimes school sports are dying out, it's like,
Mhm.
hey, well, maybe I could start coming in and maybe I'll promote it. I used to play hockey, right? So maybe
Yeah.
I can step up and be the hockey coach.
Yeah, exactly.
So just those kind of things where again it trickles off and does that stuff. So
Yeah.
no, I was pretty pumped that you said you were excited that your son got to
Oh,
race with it.
it was so neat because his cousin is 9 months older than him, so they're almost like brothers when they get together, right? Like
Yeah.
you see them together, and they're just like they're together. Everything they do together. And they were able to run the race, and Courtney's daughter was with them as well. So that was the Three Stooges.
Okay,
right?
yeah, yeah,
And it was so much fun because we camped overnight at the campsite beside the park. So we had a lot of time to spend together.
hmm
And then those three got to run the race, and they ran together. And then as they were starting to get further, the individualism came out too.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And that's where I was very proud of my son, because he wanted to be with his cousin and his cousin's friend and be there together, but there was something inside him that was driving him to keep going.
Yeah,
And he did that.
yeah,
Right? Like, I didn't teach him that.
yeah,
Right? That was his individual piece. and to watch him push like he did.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's, Dad, I carried a pail and I carried the pail all the way to the end and all the way back. I got wet. But
Yeah.
he, you know, and he did it, and he jumped the wall. And then he talked about a couple ladies that helped him out when he went on his own. There was a couple ladies that helped him over the walls that he wasn't quite tall enough for.
Yeah.
You know, and how he was so thankful for those ladies.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like, wow.
Well, it's like you get to, it's almost like a growing up experience, right? Like you get to find out you're capable of stuff like
Yeah.
that. And I think that's, not to dive too much down that different side path, but I think sometimes when we protect too much with the kids to go on these experiences, you're limiting them for them to find out. Like there was this little video, speaking of the race, that we had a little kids race too for the ones that were under 13 in that.
Yeah.
And there was this one little girl, one of her moms had tagged this video of her trying and racing around. And did you get to see the video?
I haven't yet. But
Okay. But anyway, so we had like this mini wall. It's like probably like, I don't know, yay tall. What would that be? Like 3-4 feet tall.
Yeah. Yeah.
Courtney actually donated it.
Okay.
But this little girl, probably like 4 maybe, it's over top of her head, but she tried and tried and tried on the video, and she didn't give up, right? She didn't give up. And then finally she made it over the wall, right?
There,
And her mom was like, I was super proud of her not giving up. But it's kind of those like, hey, let the kids figure it out, right?
Bingo.
Just like we got to figure out our own stuff. I was like, well, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, let the kids, like, they got to experience stuff too. And that's why I'm glad that I am able to have kids of that age do it. And even like the little race, though,
That's
it is
right.
more of that family community.
But there's also another thing happening. What you're doing when you provide these events, my anxiety had my life, right? There was a lot of things in my life that happened that anxiety took over and I didn't do things, right? I watched that kid of mine. He doesn't have that.
Yeah.
Right. I've watched him in a lot of aspects, whether it's something at school with public speaking or doing drama or his music and now this race and stuff. By giving these young people these opportunities like this, they don't have that anxiety issue that I can't say that for all.
Yeah.
Right?
I know what you mean, though.
But watching my offspring,
Yeah.
you know, that's sort of like you always want to give more to your kids than what you had. Right. I think that's a general
You want the better for
generational thing, right?
I think so.
I get to sit back and watch him not have that.
Yeah.
He's my cheerleader. Like he's the one that came up to me at the end of the race to give me that big ass hug.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's okay. We're good.
Okay. But he doesn't realize why he did, like what he did for me. I was a little kid again.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I got the reassurance from the crowd. I got the reassurance from everybody there. But that little dude came in and finished off the race for me.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what your race brought. So if you want to know what your race is doing for people out there,
Yeah.
for a guy like me, that's what it did for me. And then it trickled into my kid. So now, if you have this race, like a 25th anniversary race come down the line,
Yeah.
right? You've got 3 young people that can be veterans for that race.
There you go.
Right.
See, you're already thinking big picture. I like it. No, that's really cool. No, I'm blown away. Like I said, I figured I was having an impact on people, but then you reached out to me saying you wanted to come talk, and I got to briefly bump into you on the day of the event and seeing you at the campgrounds, but I was so busy all over the place. Just never got to visit. Actually, that's one of my goals next year is to maybe have a few more people to delegate to so I can just go meet and get to know this. But yeah, just reaching out to you on the social media and you replying, and now we're here. It's been a week and a half.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, week and a half, and my body's finally back to.
Yeah.
You know, I got no real pain, just my hips. I can't believe how much my hips felt it. But again, just about speed walking, right? So
Yeah.
that's gonna do it.
Well, and when it goes a 5-kilometer race,
Well, it turned into a
7-kilometer race.
Yeah.
I know it's funny because last year people were like, "It was a 7-kilometer race." Like, I'm pretty sure it was only 5.5, like maybe a little bit. And then I actually went and did it, and I was like, "Oh, okay." Well, anyway.
Yeah, no, but that was even a cool part too, right? Because I was expecting 5, and it was another challenge because once I heard it was longer before I started.
Yeah,
right.
But this has reaffirmed it in a sense.
In a sense, but it also said you can do it.
Yeah.
Right. That's almost 3 kilometers more.
Yeah, it's almost like a extra half of the race, almost, right?
But to know that you can still do it, right, is still part of that oomph that moves me, right?
Yeah.
So, now I don't think I can go bungee jumping or go climb Mount Everest, right?
Yeah.
But I do have goals on going out west and doing some pretty decent mountain hikes
Yeah.
because I know I can. I know I can.
Yeah, and if you just chunk it, even like if you can even relate it to like the race, you come up to one obstacle, conquer that, come up to one. It's the same thing when you're doing a hike. It's like, hey, first step is picking your place. Next step is thinking out your plan, driving there, getting out of the vehicle, taking your first few steps, going around the first corner, right? So it's all pieces, and then you just conquer each piece, and
that's right.
Next thing you know.
But it doesn't all have to be done perfectly, and it doesn't all have to be done right away.
Mm-hmm.
That's the other thing I'm learning.
Okay.
Patience is a virtue.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Part of me wanted to run that race. Like there was part of me inside once I started going and stuff.
Yeah.
I wanted to run it here, but my body wasn't. I knew I couldn't run it.
Yeah.
Right. So I wasn't gonna put myself in a place. I pushed myself. I was sore. But I didn't want to hurt myself, right?
Yeah.
So to have that balance is
learning it, right?
And I didn't realize I can kind of be competitive. Not kind of, I can be competitive, right? Because I've prided myself on being very passive. I'm not that guy. Just let it be. It is what it is. I had too many years of being all about me. I wanted, but no, this competitive stuff can be fun, right?
It can be, right, in the right sense.
Yeah. So that's where I'm learning as well, right? It's I can participate in things. I can try and I can succeed. Right. You just got to practice on the trying part, turning that into doing. And then the success comes automatically. And I usually don't have a say in the success, right? It's not what I expect it to be. Like the race, I wasn't expecting the race. I knew I was going to do something. Yeah. But I wasn't expecting that, right?
Yeah. Just kind of coming in and realizing there's going to be an outcome, and then receive the outcome as best as you can. And if it doesn't work out the way you were, like I said, you kind of caught me, like it doesn't have to go perfect the first time, but sometimes it's even better when it doesn't go perfect because it gives you opportunity to grow, gives you opportunity to succeed. And then let's face it, life isn't going to be perfect. No. So the more you challenge yourself and come across those challenges and learn from them, then when something else happens, you're not as fearful or anxious, or you know how to navigate it better. So lots of those opportunities. That was the other piece that I kind of liked about what you're talking about with this whole race. But just one of my goals is the piece from how you move from the physical activity stuff and then push it to other aspects of your life, right? So just taking that mental side of it.
And it all interconnects, right? We need to be able to be balanced in all of it. This was an emotional race for me. If I had to define your race this year for me, it was more of an emotional race than it was a physical. Yeah. Because I prepped for the physical part, but this was a new level of confidence for myself to do, right? I was pulling myself out of my sister's wing. Like, my sister's been an amazing support. I mean, Donna Lee. Yeah. There's no way I can be in her caliber, and that's okay. Yeah. I don't have to be, right? Yeah. I'm in Troy's. Yep. And it's a pretty good one.
Yeah, there you go.
Right? Like, and that's ironically what I really won in that race, is that was when I crossed that line, that was the moment that I told myself I can do anything.
Wow.
Right. So, and that's why I see that picture. Right. I guess I'm kind of explaining the picture is what I'm doing. Yeah. Because that's where my mind was at when I came across, when that young lady gave me that medal. Yeah. Right. It's like, oh, that's mine. Yeah. And then when I seen my kid, like Xavier was standing there, he came walking to me as much as it was like a movie. Yeah. Right. It was just fantastic. So that's, to me, I feel like I came in first, right? Because my emotional win was a strong one. Like I really was I was just in a weird world after the race was done. Just calm and content, but I needed to process. Yeah. Right? So my son and I, when we went home, he fell asleep by Valparaiso. I think he was asleep. Yeah. Right?
But you were probably in your head the whole time.
Oh yeah. Just turned on some cool tunes on Spotify, and away I went.
That's really cool.
So yeah, so I can't thank you enough for the race.
Well, right. You're welcome. I mean, I'm again, like I said this a few times already, blown away that I'm able to have an impact like this. But even for you to come in and share this with me and the people that are going to listen to this, and for it to stand I mean, hopefully the test of time on the internet, and who knows, 25 years from now, right? So you have someone will be like, let's click on this video. Like, holy crap, this is like way back then.
Way back when it started, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think you guys need to know the impact you're making, not only in these small communities, but in the surrounding areas as well. Mm-hmm. You hear the crew in Nipawin, Donnelly's crew in Carrot River. Yeah. You know, anywhere I need to go, and this isn't just me, this is anybody from out of town. Anywhere we need to go, we're getting places now where we can drop in.
Yeah.
Right? And that isn't just building our physical side. For me, that's my emotional growth. Coming here and getting to meet you and getting to know you, that's pushing me out of my comfort zone. Mm-hmm. So I'm meeting new people.
Yeah.
Going to Nipawin, it's the same thing. Right? Yeah. I've been to Fort Saskatchewan and a few other places with Good Life and meeting people and just small talk and learning how to do that. This is where this physical stuff is so important, not only for the physical health, but holy smokes, the aspect that we get from these events.
The connections, yeah. Well, and that's why going back to your comment on lifestyle, right? Mm-hmm. It's you do almost get to like have a second almost chance at like rebuilding a life if you've never done anything physical, right? To never immerse yourself in that.
Yep.
Be surprised at what kind of doors it might open for you, right?
Absolutely.
And you can leave someone who you maybe had in the past, and then you got this whole another world, right? And I think that's really cool to hear too, because I think, again, like you said, giving the people kudos for what they do. And I try my best to try to think about like all the people in my life. Hey, like I was super thankful my family came to volunteer, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they put up with my stress, and just like, I was just like, I felt like a jerk that day, but I was, and the family loving, but you know, I made sure after and during the event, but definitely after, like, you guys are awesome. Like I couldn't have done this without you, kind of thing. And even the volunteers, I was texting them and thanking them for coming in, right? And just letting people know that, appreciate what they're doing for you, right? So I appreciated you coming in today. So
I appreciate being here. It's you know, we don't get too many opportunities to talk about what this stuff does, right? And I believe more and more all the time that the physical side of things now it's not about the weightlifting. It's not about the going to the gym 24/7. It's not about the old Arnold Schwarzenegger thinking.
Yeah.
Right. And nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. But there's more.
But there's more to it, right? There's that whole social aspect, and that social aspect is big.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, we need it. It's a lot nicer to go to a gym or go to a race and meet a bunch of people that are getting excited about running and going under the crawl and the walls and the mud than it is to sit at home and turn on the TV and watch CNN about all of the negative stuff that's coming across the world.
Yeah, I agree. Or like thinking of it like a healthy habit versus like going out. Not that I'm known to go out and enjoy a few beverages, but sometimes people, that's their only escape is the bottle and the people with the bottle, right? And in this sense, it's that whole, hey, there's other things to do, other people out there. And if you start surrounding yourself with all of them, start planning different things, it can lead to
magic,
right? Exactly.
And that's the coolest part about the smaller communities. Growing up in small communities, there's a stigma. There's an old style of thinking where a rite of passage is to go to a bush party, or a rite of passage. And again, it's not knocking the activity, but it's the negativity that comes from that in the long run. You know, you see the town drunk in the corner. You know, that's because he started at 14 at a party and never left and never did anything different, right? This is giving people opportunities to do something different.
So then you got the race coming up next year. Got some stuff planned from now until then.
Just continuing to truck on. The next challenge that comes up.
Yeah, exactly.
Come up. I really want to get into my eating is kind of gone sideways again.
Okay, and I feel you there.
Yeah. So I really want to get back on track with that. Like I've really seen a change in my physique. Like I've got pictures from about 3 years ago where it's just a different person, right? But I don't want to go back there. But I also, you know, I don't need to be ripped, but I want to have that healthy eating back.
For sure.
And I've really lost my control on that. So that's my next challenge is to find.
I'm in there. We could do it together.
There we go. There we go.
Yeah. I was trying to clean up on the leftover burgers from the race. So I've been eating a lot of burgers, and there's been a few extra boxes of some adult beverages that I've been cleaning up on as well. But no, that's good. Cool. Well, I think we're going to wrap her up here. And I don't know if you got any last little favorite. Okay, let's do a Q&A here real quick. All right. what was your favorite part or obstacle to conquer out of all of them? What one did you get most excited about when you came up to it?
The wall,
Which one?
the wall, the climb.
The ladder
The
wall?
ladder.
Okay, okay.
Because the heights thing is a thing for me, and when I got to do it the first time, that was like,
Yeah. All right. Another question then, because this found out later. But after you got through the mud thing, did you clean your shoes off or you just keep running?
I just kept. Well, I didn't run, right? So
Oh,
I,
yeah.
I just kept on trucking and hoped that it fell off as I was going.
Because I seen people were scraping it off on the bridge and stuff.
By the time I got there, I couldn't. There was no room left on the bridge to scrape my shoes.
I had to go scrape off the mud. I got a picture from one of the guys in town. He's like, we got a problem. I was like, I'm on it. So I went there and I
Yeah,
scraped it all
yeah.
off. All right. Food. Favorite food.
My favorite food
Yeah.
of all time would have to be, oh man, lasagna. No, fish and chips.
Oh,
Fish and chips. See, so that I don't eat it as much as I used to. But if I have an all-time favorite, it's 2 pieces of fish and French fries.
yeah. And I don't know why you strike me as a music guy because maybe you just talk about music, but what's your genre? What's your go-to?
Everything. But the big one's got to be when I'm working out. The big one is like corn and
Oh, yeah.
like the heavier stuff. And then once the workout's done, it's nothing but chill. So I like the Lumineers and stuff like that. And then if I really need to veg, then the spa music comes on. Right?
Yeah,
the
yeah.
stuff, the sounds and stuff, no lyrics. So,
Cool. All right. Well, there we go. A couple cool, fun little. I'm going to start throwing in these little questions at the end
I
of my
like 'em.
podcast.
It's
So,
good. It's good
right
to
on.
keep me thinking.
yeah. All right. Well, anyway, thanks for coming on. It's
Thank you
appreciated.
so much. Yeah, I
And
appreciate
we'll get you guys here on the next podcast. I actually got another guest that we're going to be doing a phone call, and they're going to be telling us about the race too. So that'll be coming up in another episode, or maybe I'll tag it into the end of this episode. I don't know yet. But anyway, thanks, Troy. Been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Cool.
Cool.
That was awesome.
That's it.